Just see if there's a car coming.
Sure.
When you get over there, they have the green.
You got to consciously think about what you're doing.
You absolutely do.
But they do have something. They have something very handy at intersections at various points on the sidewalk, the pavement. They have. If you look down, it says "Look right."
Yeah. I wouldn't bother to drive in London though. I mean, if you're going to spend any time in London, I'd just get a ticket, an underground ticket. And you can go just about anywhere you want within a very, very reasonable time.
Oyster, right? Oyster card.
Yeah, the
Oyster
underground
card. That's the one. Yeah.
Underground works really well. But
I watched Top Gear.
I'm gonna drop out.
How far is this famous?
Good chat with you. Yeah.
Take care.
How far is this?
Take care, monkey.
How far is this famous ranty windmill sighting from London to go see?
That is a long way away in London.
Yeah.
That is
up north.
Yeah, that's up north. That's
wait a minute, Rumpus. You're talking to someone that probably takes regular 100 to 200 mile trips quite easily. To us, it's a long way away. To him, it's probably not.
Yeah, but that would take to get from if you were to drive from London to Blackpool, that's going to take you in excess of 6 hours.
That's not unreasonable.
5.5, at least 5, probably
We drove
6.
that to go to Disney. We did that to go to Disney World. That's not that bad.
Yes, and if you're prepared to drive 6 hours, then you indeed can get from London to St. Bees.
I hazard a guess, Rumpus, that if our country was about 5 or 6 times the surface area, we wouldn't be bothered that much about, it'd just become the norm travelling that kind of distance.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Cam.
So I was going to say, basically, the United States is 25 times the size of Britain. To give you perspective.
But the weird thing is, on the map, it isn't. How weird is that? Why is that the case? Jesus.
Actually,
lies. It's all lies.
That's the other one. The other stat I know is that if you go to England and go anywhere in England, you cannot drive more than 120 miles before hitting a coast.
And the other important thing is you're never more than about 5 miles away from a road or a village.
Yeah. I don't mind traveling if I can maintain a 70, 80 kilometer hour type speeds. But if I get caught in traffic where I've got to sit for hours at 20 kilometers an hour or something, I'd be absolutely bonkers.
No, you could get you could get from London to close to where the St. Bees by pure going on motorway. So you'd be able to do. Assuming that you can get past Dean and around Milton Keynes, M1, a reasonable speed, then you can whip up all the way up to Birmingham and then all the way up to past Manchester and then up past Blackpool and then off you go.
Yeah, lengthy trips on the road don't bother me. I mean, I make fairly frequent trips between northern Minnesota and the Front Range of Colorado, and I generally drive that straight through at 20 hours. So
right, but once you get to Cumbria, which is where St. Bees is, then you've probably got an hour's drive through that of wiggly roads and small towns and things.
Yeah. If you go to England, drive 20 hours, and you just go east and drive 20 hours, you'd be in Leningrad.
Yeah.
I think we're painting the wrong picture. It's not as bad as perhaps some people are making out here.
It's not.
If you want to go on motorways, which most of the distences you would want to long travel, you're fine.
What I try to do is schedule. I'd try to schedule it where I'd maybe come in on a Thursday night or a Friday, so have the weekend. So most of you would be guaranteed to be free.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good, yeah, it's great. It's been, when I first came over here,
we
didn't have any travel advice
like this. Do a Blackpool trip. Well,
yeah, it's a good. Go just St. Bees observation. Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say that first time we went from I'm in Atlanta. First time we went to Texas, I have some family. We were driving, and it took a long time. And, finally we got to Texas border. We're like, oh, that's great. We're in Texas. We're almost there. 6.5 hours later,
you're still in Texas.
Yeah. Still in Texas.
8 hours later, you're still
8 hours later, still in Texas.
Sounds like
it took us like 4 hours to get to Dallas, and it was like, what?
I memorably went along going from from San Francisco, going towards from Las Vegas to Los Angeles and things. My God, just one straight road, and also going along going north up the Sierra Nevada. That road is about just 50 miles straight long. You're going for 10 miles, you don't realize it, and just suddenly it's all desolate thing. Whereas in Britain, you see it's all flat, all trees and green fields and sheep and things trying to hassle you. We just don't have these empty spaces that you do to put stuff in. And we never, and roads just are never straight.
Yeah, I don't know where you're walking. I don't know where you're walking, Rumpus, but sheep never hassle me.
I do. I'm always getting, wherever I seem to go, there's always some frolicking sheep. I go walking quite a lot, and there's always some frolicking sheep near me.
Stop going to where the sheep frolic then. That's...
Yeah. When people say, "Oh, overpopulation," have you ever driven? Go to the Texas border, the most eastern part, and then drive to Dallas. It's mile after mile after mile after mile after mile after mile after mile of absolutely nothing.
I've got a question actually for US people. Hey, apples, just short down the road.
No.
Yeah.
60 miles is not really hard for me at all.
I mean, that's nothing. I mean, that's an hour's drive.
That's not down the road.
Yeah, but is that? Would you consider that a short distance just down the road? If someone said to you,
no, I wouldn't say a short distance. A short distance,
it's inconvenient, but it's not long.
Maybe up to 20 miles, maybe.
It's not a big trip.
60 miles is inconvenient, but not long.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Anything less than 10 miles or so is just down the road.
Right. Right. No, that's weird. No, because I was in the States a long time ago in Florida, and I was asking directions to a shooting range, a competition clay shooting range, and they did say, "Oh, it's just down the road," and I'm pretty sure it was. It might have been 60 kilometers, but they said just down the road, not far. And I thought, hang about, this is like, well, what is 60 kilometers? It's like 30 odd miles. And they're like, what? This isn't far. This is like really far, 30 odd miles.
Yeah, that's just how we view things here. I used to travel to university. It was about 40 miles to travel to university every day.
I'm going to try to let people in. There you go. Yeah. I just jump in for like 5 minutes. If somebody want to click in, I can let them in.
Weird. You seemed a lot wider then. Your aspect ratio was wrong, Jose.
I'm on my phone. Over here is weird. Yeah.
Perspective.
That actually is. Well, no. That's a feature of that's just non-uniform scaling of the video buffer.
Aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Hey, since you're talking about this stuff, Chris Berry was in the chat earlier. He was asking me about the picture used for the thumbnail, and then gave me a picture to look at, and then a video link. I was trying to share the video link when this crashed, which you guys wouldn't have noticed, but so I haven't watched this video yet. I'll see if I can share it and we can see what it is.
What is the video of, Al?
Well, we'll find out.
But to answer your question, Dean, it pretty much depends on a person's lifestyle. 20 miles is not inconvenient. That's pretty easy. But if you're doing 60 miles, you'd probably hesitate if it was just to be for quick. Trying to do a quick trip or whatever,
I'm certainly not driving that far for a Chipotle.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to put it in perspective, I mean, I don't live in a big city, but from one side of I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and from one side to the other, it's 45, 50 miles, something like that. Just to go to the far other side of town is something. Might even be approaching 60, depending on where you call it off at, but.
Yeah.
You guys see this?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, so we got a little boat there.
Yeah, a little bit of refraction with the heat from the tarmac.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody's claiming that this is how things disappear bottom up.
Yeah, this is typical Chris Berry bullshit.
Yep. Let me see. I'm sharing my full screen so you'll be able to see if I open the picture.
Yeah, we'll guarantee you that concrete's flat. Absolutely.
So this was the picture he sent me. He was saying
of course, when they puddled it and screeded it, they probably used, a steel straight edge, didn't they?
I would imagine they did, George.
Sean G actually
kicked a bolt float on it.
So Chris was
Sean
saying
G actually kicked Chris Berry off his show. Was it last week because he kept saying, "Look at this flat road." It's like, and Sean's worked on roads. It's like, buddy, they're not flat.
He kicked him off because he went all red pill philosophy on him.
Yep.
That's what really upset him. That's what sent him sort of over the top. He kept going on about what's his bloody name? Whether you can't see the curve at 120,000 feet.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That's it, deGrasse Tyson. Yes, never remember his name. Yeah, and it was at that, and I think Sean had probably had a bad day anyway, and I think one or two other people had wound him up a little bit, and I think when he started doing that, it was like, right, that's it, you can fuck off, called him a faggot and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch everything, but I saw that Chris put up a really short video saying that Sean G had lost the plot. So
yeah, but that's because he'd wound him up. Sean doesn't do that just for the hell of it.
No, I mean, from what I've watched of Sean, he's reasonably composed most of the time. So
yes, he is. But I think when you keep hearing the same bullshit time and time and time again, like he has, he just reached his snapping point, and that's what it was all about.
Now, what you're showing is very typical of Chris Berry type proof.
Well, this is the picture he sent me. And obviously the video was supposed to back up what he was claiming. He was saying that the obstruction only happens due to this miraging effect. I mean, I get a couple of issues with this. Obviously, the thing is he was trying to claim that that's just how it works, because the thumbnail I've used for this stream is one of my observations where I've shown a building obstructed and then a comparison shot where I moved closer to get a full shot of the thing. And obviously there's no miraging in my examples. That's the whole point of the stuff I try to put out, is that you don't have this confusion with the atmosphere, because I do it on days when it's clear.
Yeah. Well, this is rather typical. What I see out on my lake here is you can actually see that the top, the crest of the water, when you have waves like that and white caps, it really does look different. You know that there's a large area that's missing beneath the what happened to it?
Sorry,
your presentation.
There you go.
But anyway, the water looks different than the background considerably. You don't have this nice, gradual, smooth blending in, and it really does look like there's obstruction. It's so much more prevalent with your naked eye than looking at a photograph there, but you can see that the water texture and everything just looks totally different than the background. You see this demarcation.
Well, they're not even taken from the same elevation. Look at the buoy. The buoy on the left is above the horizon.
I was going to say
that. The buoy on the right is right at the horizon. It's obviously not comparable. I mean, this is just the normal Chris Berry bullshit.
And Chris is the king of cherry-picking images that suit his narrative.
Absolutely. This is the guy that tries to do the goddamn Cavendish experiment in his garage with a frigging bar hanging from the ceiling out there in open air. Obviously, you never read the Cavendish experiment.
Well, all you have to do is a back-of-the-envelope calculation using Newton's gravitational force law to see what kind of force you would be expecting to find between two masses of, say, a kilogram or whatever. And it's so ridiculously small and insignificant. You have to have a precision apparatus like Cavendish built in order to demonstrate any of this.
That's why Cavendish spent the first 4 pages of his paper explaining all of it. That's mainly what
Chris
he was doing.
Was fishing line and a trailer hitch.
Yeah, all right.
I was going to share an observation on Jose's, but I never really found the opportunity, so I'll do it just now while we're doing this, since it's the subject anyway. So I haven't been able to get out a lot recently, but this was the most recent thing I was able to get. Most of the stuff I've got is at reasonable distances over the water, but this one is a short distance over a loch. So straight away, one of the things you can rule out is the nonsense about tides. Let me see. I just need to check and see if this opened up my other tabs when I come back. Yep. Okay, computer's not a happy bunny these days. So, this is the location. That's Loch Lomond. And the point I've marked there is just a hill, which I'll obviously show that in the photographs in a minute. And this is the observation point, a place called the Cruin. And this is how it looks through Peak Finder. Just looking at the hills you'll see in a minute in the photographs, so just to identify what we're looking at. So on the day, it's so slow, this thing, it's doing my none. This was just snapshots from the phone when I was actually there. Oops, showing the location. And then a zoomed out view again, just to confirm that's where I was. And then I did a measurement on the phone showing 5.2 miles. Which also, I did a measurement on Google Maps separately, and it works out the same, 5.23 miles it came out at. So this is the location, looking at the places where I'm going to be taking the photographs. That's starting off at this corner. And let me see, put that back, hold on. So this is looking out from the jet, so you can see, right, so I'm going to be starting off at this corner, then coming down to this ramp, then walking up to that hill, so that I've got 3 different elevations for the shot. And basically what I did was I took a continuous video. Obviously I'll skip through it just now. Hold on. Let me just put that down. It's a bit rough. It was windy, bit handheld. I did have the tripod, but I wasn't like spending time setting it up because I was doing a continuous video. But you're basically looking across at this place called Balmaha, and there's like a marina area there. And let me just hold on. Trying to skip through it, but still keep in the right bits is going to be a pain. Right, so you can see those hills I was pointing out. So this is standing at the corner, and you can obviously, you can basically see everything from there. So this is at roughly about 12 feet high, and then let's skip it in a bit. Hold on. That's obviously down at the ramp. And then zooming in from there, this is with the tripod still at the same height it was when I was standing at the corner. So the elevation of this shot's roughly about 4 feet. So I'll pause it a second. I know it's a bit overexposed, but you can see that it's like roughly half of the boats are missing.
Yep.
Whoa.
And there goes the phone.
Hello.
Right, hold on. And then I took the camera off the tripod. This was handheld, so it was really rough. But you can see, obviously, getting a bit lower to the water. You're only seeing the mast and stuff, you're not seeing the full boats.
Yeah.
And let me just skip it past some of this. I was trying to put it back in the tripod and messing about with it and stuff, so there's a lot of that crap there. Right, so then this is having moved up the hill to get a higher shot. Let's skip that in. So obviously you can see more. Exposure's a bit of a pain, but you can still make it out. So everything's basically visible from up there, which is what you would expect anyway.
Yep.
And then, if I can find the right bit, I went back down. See if I can get it. So say messing about with the tripod a bit to set it up. Right, so while it's doing this thing, when it's on the slant and sliding to the side, that's when I've taken a picture with my phone to show the tripod setup, so I'll show that in a second. But basically this is about 1.5 feet off the water, and you can see that building's cut off. You can only see parts of these boats here, and obviously again the mast and stuff like that. So it's just to show the 3 different elevations and the 3 different levels, what's visible, what's obstructed, basically low, and then a bit higher you can see more. So you've got a 1.5 foot, a 4 foot, a 12 foot, and a roughly 20 something foot observation, and it was all done in one shot.
Yep. Pretty cool.
If I go back here, just so you can see, this is just a couple of shots I took with the camera, showing that tripod getting put down for that final shot. You can see it all.
You ain't going to get a lot lower than that, are you?
No. And oh, sorry, wrong one. I've got a couple of shots that I cropped and did a little bit of contrast on it, just to kind of show they're not exactly the same, but it's just to show a difference. So this is from the corner, the original corner where I was standing, so you can see. Obviously it's easier to look at it in a still and see what you're looking at compared to the video.
Oh yeah.
Right. And
there they all are.
Compare that to one taken from the lowest tripod height.
Christ, they've all been washed away by that flood.
Right. And then, just to address the Chris Berry situation, one last shot. Here's how it looks on a different day with refraction.
Now, that's generally the sort of conditions they choose to go for, don't they? Because they seem to deliberately go for the possible days with the most distortion, the most refraction, the most let's cast an element of doubt on it.
But if we don't go on those days, how will we know anything? We have to have our measurements.
Yeah.
So I mean, it frustrates me when that whole excuse with the atmosphere and refraction, because it's just nonsense. These people aren't going out and taking pictures on clear days, or if they are, they're making stories about it.
What I find particularly frustrating in all this is all this emphasis on photographs these days. I mean, you don't have any good feel for the optical corridor, the atmospheric conditions. Nobody takes any temperature measurements at observation and at the target position, so you can calculate what the refraction index is or the effects of refraction. And plus, the other thing that I found is very telling is even if you just take a few seconds of live video, you can pretty well assess the atmospheric conditions. A photograph can hide shimmering in the background and distortion in that, because if you catch it at the right time, it might look stable, whereas if you take a few seconds of video, you can assess right away as to how unstable the atmosphere is.
Yeah.
The other thing is I find that it seems like kind of there's a bit of guesswork going into these situations with these guys, as if they've never been outside and looked at the reality before. If you're more familiar with it, you kind of get to know the conditions before you even take a camera out. Before I even leave the house, most of the time I can pretty much predict whether I can expect to see refraction out in the water. And then the other thing is you can see all this stuff with the naked eye, which is a kind of fallacy I hear a lot from these guys. Is they seem to rely on this the zoom levels in a camera, and it's it's only going to be visible that way, and your eye's tricking you, this kind of stuff. They make up these kind of stories that just aren't true about what you can and can't see with your eye, and that kind of gets them under my skin a wee bit, because you can see boats going over the horizon, as long as the boat itself is a fairly large size and not something that's going to be reduced so much in angular resolution that your eye can't make it out. You can see that happening with the naked eye. You don't need a telephoto zoom. And you can see refraction happening, miles away from you. If it's fairly decent amount of refraction, if there's a good bit of inferior mirage, you can see that. You don't need a camera to help you with that.
Yeah, well, that's where I've been thinking maybe someday just take a weekend trip over to Lake Superior. It's about a 3-hour drive from here, Duluth, Minnesota, and you can get up 500-600 feet on the hills of Duluth up over Lake Superior. You can look over, a couple hundred miles. And you have ore boats there, these huge ore boats, that are typically 400 or 500 feet long. And so, you could make some really good observations on Lake Superior.
And see, the other thing as well, somebody like Chris Berry, he'll sit and tell you that, this miraging or refraction is somehow cutting off the bottoms of things and make up every, excuse he can to blame the atmosphere for not being able to see stuff. And then in the same breath, he'll turn around and tell you that the laser tests that were done by FE Core or whoever it was are proof of flat Earth.
Yeah.
If they're firing lasers right next to the water, why aren't they being cut off?
Yeah.
By these atmospheric effects.
They're refracting light in every direction possible with a laser off the top of water. If there's any kind of wave action going on it, just like mirror flashes.
I just thought about that puts me in a unique situation with the Lake Superior and over at Duluth and being able to get up on the hills is, if you zoomed over Lake Superior and happened to catch some ore boats out, say, 50, 60 miles, you should be able to get up on the hills, zoom in and see the ore boat, and then just drop down a few hundred feet and have it totally disappear. You're not going to be anywhere near the surface of the water. You're still going to be up 200-300 feet up above the water when the ore boat is over the curve of the earth, and then you can climb up higher on the hills and bring it back into view. So you could totally spell this thing about light rays being close to the water and being somehow interaction going on there. That could be totally eliminated by being up high and then just drop a little lower.
Yeah, and then, doing any observation from height helps, obviously. I mean, I've done that. I've watched a boat go over the horizon, and then I've went up to like 300 plus feet, watched the same boat, and eventually, of course, it goes over the horizon again. So
exactly. That's what I'm sort of thinking of here, is might have to do that this summer sometime, just take a trip over to Duluth and see if I can catch something like that. Because on the hills outside of Duluth, there's one place that there's a cliff that's 300 feet above the water, and you can look over 120 miles and see Isle Royale out in Lake Superior, which is a famous national park there, an island that's part of Michigan. And so there's a lot of opportunity over there on Lake Superior. It's the largest Great Lakes of the 5 Great Lakes, and it's probably presents some unique opportunities because on the west side, on the Minnesota side, where Duluth and Minnesota and Ashland, Wisconsin are, the Duluth side has hills that are upwards of about 500-600 feet up above the area that the city's built on. So one could do some probably nice photographs from that in video.
It sounds like a good place to try it.
You can also go on YouTube, look up a guy named Dwayne Kellum.
Yep.
And he does some beautiful high altitude balloon. And the guy's actually a flat Earth guy, but he does some beautiful high altitude balloon stuff, and he has them instrumented properly. You can read the altitude, the air pressure, everything.
Oh yes, I've seen some of them. Yeah,
and you can see that it's so clearly curved at 120,000. Well, I've seen his go up to 115,000 feet.
Mm.
I did a slideshow. I did a short video, and it's basically a slideshow of some screenshots I took of his last launch.
Yeah, and
it's very clearly, a curved horizon in every shot, and most of these images are below the center line as well. I know that if you look at his specs, it's all rectilinear lenses that he's using.
Well, usually it bobs around just enough that it'll go from the top of the screen to the top of the frame down to the bottom of the frame, the horizon. I mean, and it stays flat the whole time. If there's any lens distortion, it's going to invert when it goes through the center line.
Yep.
every time.
That's
it.
It with Dwayne's, it's he's got the right type of lenses, and when it's in the portion of the frame that should distort it and make it bend up to fake the flatness, it doesn't do that.
Now that
and
Neil
yet,
deGrasse,
every flat earther still ignores it. I mean, you go to his channel, it's amazing that Dwayne is still a flat earther, and everybody commenting on his video is going, "Oh, amazing, flat." You're looking at a curved line, going, "Right, what are you?" That's what makes me think sometimes that there's something going on in the brain with some people that they literally can't see curved lines. Absolute
cognitive dissonance. But then you listen to these dipshits talk about the Neil deGrasse Tyson famous quote: "You can't, you can't see it at 120,000 feet." You need to listen to the entire thing that Tyson said that day. He was making fun of them. That was a big joke. He was, it's flat.
Yeah, well, of course, they're famous for taking everything out of context.
He's just making a joke, and they take that and wave it around like they found something.
Yeah.
Without cherry picking and coal mining, basically dishonesty, they don't really have a lot.
Pretty much.
It's honest to God the new variant of younger creationism, quote mining Darwin. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels between the young Earth creationists and the flat earthers, has to be said. Much of the same arguments. Because I used to, do a lot of arguing with that group myself.
They even have one of the same figureheads. Quantum Eraser loves that too.
God. Quantum Eraser is something else.
Oh, it certainly is.
I don't know. Do you know what? What amazes me sometimes is how anybody can take somebody like that seriously, regardless of whether they're right or wrong in terms of the Earth shape thing or whatever. Just the way the guy behaves and the way he presents his information is a fucking joke. I mean, how can you take anybody seriously that has to write a script for himself with colour-coded, bolded, cues to tell him when to emphasise his words and shit?
I call it his cutty pasties. I mean, I've known Quantum Eraser for a couple of years now. I'm seriously of the opinion that he is losing it. You can see a mental deterioration that has occurred over the last couple of years, and there's something not quite right with that man anymore.
You can see that with a lot of them. Yeah, best example probably is Antonio Subrats. You can see him like 3-4 years ago, and now.
Oh, Antonio looks like he's aged about 10 years, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. He looks haggard and tired.
See, and I'd really watch these days. Dell, Tim said it a few times. There's a fair difference in the amount of, the size of the bags under his eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the things about the way these people present themselves, that's the part that gets me sometimes. It's like, as I say, with Quantum Eraser, it's the way he does it. With somebody like Dell, for example, he basically just repeats himself every show. It's the same show. It's like 2 and 3 hours of the same shit. And then the next week, same thing. Next week, same thing. Next week, same thing. And then the obvious contradictory nature of the things they're saying and their actions, as in they make all these claims about how people should behave. They should be out there, they should be doing everything for themselves, they should be doing real science, all that shit. And they don't do anything, they don't practice what they preach, they just sit in their arses, in their sheds, their basements, whatever it is, and talk. Yeah,
that's right.
Dell's still doing better than Danny Pratt sitting around staring blankly at a camera.
Ugh. That bloke.
I don't even know what to say about Dan. He's a bit like Quantum Eraser, he just likes to sit and shout. And again, he's one of these people, he's very vocal, but he produces nothing. And that really does amaze me, that people like that get followers, and they go, they boost their egos and tell them they're doing a great job and everything, and they're like, well, what have they done? They haven't done anything. They just sit there.
Pratt is seriously not playing with a full deck.
No, he's not.
No, some people I don't think are worth the time. Like just at all. I think you could arguably say that about flat Earth as a rule, but just some people are that far gone. I don't see the point in actually spending time making videos about him. Pratt's one of those people to me. I don't think he's got anything to say that's worth addressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, when I do my debunk videos, I don't do it hoping I'll change the minds of most of these morons that are into this. I don't really give a shit what they think. What I might be able to do is influence somebody who hadn't quite made their mind up yet to go completely crazy.
Yeah.
And particularly, I can have some influence on some young minds that haven't yet had the time to develop the ability to smell bullshit when it's right in front of them.
Right.
It's
that's
still
banned I know for a fact you're not going to change the minds of any of these people that we know. That's pointless.
No, and I don't fucking care. It doesn't matter to me that.
There comes a
Blue,
point.
you may want to go check out Sean Hawkins' newest video. He was going over Earth is Seriously Flat's channel. That guy is literally going out and setting up tables in front of schools and trying to sell this shit to children.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying, actually.
Yeah, that's my pet peeve with it.
Yeah, that fucker needs to be locked away somewhere.
Mm.
Yeah, at that point, it no longer becomes amusing innocence.
He's doing it deliberately. You know that, right? Why do you think he's doing that? Because the level of reaction he's getting is no longer giving him the high, so he needs to up the ante. That's why he's doing that.
I'm still just taken aback that he was going to tell Blue how a plane works.
Yeah.
I was waiting.
Yeah, the experts. They're all experts in everything.
Blue, I imagine in your backyard you must have a large tank to store all that helium to fill the fuselage of your plane. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't fly without. Certainly wouldn't fly without all that stuff in there. Got to put it in under high pressure, though, George.
Yeah.
Just need enough helium, and anything will fly, right?
So.
Well, that would be an interesting question to ask a flat earther. Like, if I fill a football with helium versus nitrogen, which one will fly further on average if I kick it? See how much physics they know.
Yeah. Well, we know how much physics they know. Fuck all.
And yet we got Pete Shea saying he's an engineer, but he doesn't know what refraction is.
Yeah, why put all this effort into quadcopters? Just fill the inside of your car with helium. You got yourself...
Yeah, where you go. Till you want to come back down.
Just open a window.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Again, it's just, that stuff is so out there, and yet they'll entertain it seriously.
Yeah.
You have some normal, everyday, practical application of something that, is understood, well accepted, and they go, no fucking way! And they lose their shit about it. But then you introduce something that's completely wacky and out there, it's like, oh, yep, well, that's all the serious face comes on, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Guys, he was taking the piss.
Oh, that's crazy. That is the part that amazes me. I can understand conspiracy theory, in general. I can understand that you can distrust certain people, that you can believe a story might be fake and all that kind of thing. But no to the point that they take it. They just go way into Fantasyland.
Yeah, they're good at that.
But you know what? The other thing is it's so stagnant as well. They keep revolving around the same excuses. They keep, the fact that it's on average 4 years for most people, and they're still saying dumb shit like the horizon rises to eye level.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I mean, 4 years and you haven't even learned the most basic thing.
Well, that's the scary thing about a lot of these flat earthers that I refuse to believe, but Court has finally convinced me that a lot of these guys are like in their 40s and their 50s. And I'm going, how the hell can an adult man be this freaking stupid? You'd think life would have taught you something, but
yeah, there's a few common threads there as well. I mean, they like to call themselves critical thinkers, but it took most of them into their 40s and 50s before they started questioning the globe. Very critical.
Well, what was the one on Jose's hangout that was late night, early morning for us? Within minutes, he said, "Oh, I'm a critical thinker." Like all flat earthers.
That was Earth is seriously flat.
Yeah, and then he started talking about the devil.
Are you ready to see the devil?
Yeah,
face to face.
I am a critical thinker, and it's like critical thinker, and you're talking about the devil. Are you listening to yourself?
Pretty fucking critical, I would say.
Amazing.
It's like Manny saying that we have to believe the Bible, so the Earth is flat and there's a dome. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of religious,
he just left out a word.
Mind of God in the chat.
Oh, jeez. Mind of God's in the chat.
There's a link in the chat to this hangout if he wants to come in. I mean, we can use a little orthogonal in our life.
No, thank you.
No.
I need to go clip my toenails or something.
I've got to go and watch the grass grow.
No, if he does, hey, I have an idea. If he does come in, can you hear us?
Yeah, he can hear us.
All right, probably.
Oh, already? Okay, I was just going to say, if he does come in, we'll all just leave. That'd be hilarious. No, he's a Poe. There's no point talking to him. There's even less point than talking to a flat earther. I think
it was the end of this stream. It was either yesterday or the day before. I can't remember which one it was. And all of a sudden, everybody was just dropping out. And I realised it was me and Pete Shee. I just went, click.
Click, goodbye.
Goodbye, I'm off. Didn't say a word. I just clicked the hang up. It's like, no.
Shut up. Shut up.
Shut your fucking mouth. Shut your fucking mouth.
Shut your mouth.
Pete
Fuck off. Don't be so rude.
Shut up.
Pete has problems. I find it hard.
I would have thought that a lot of these hangout hosts would have by now, wised up about Pete and just, ban him from the hangouts. He's just so disruptive. I mean, the man is a schizophrenic.
Who are you insulting now?
The Dodo.
Pete Shea, I think the thing is,
no.
I think Pete has some genuine issues, and he shouldn't be getting encouraged.
He does. Yeah.
No, not.
I actually do think that. I think we should basically just not give him an outlet. This is just feeding his whatever it is.
Yeah,
really is.
It's hard to discuss anything with a man who waits for you to start, then yells Aristarchus the moment you start speaking.
Yeah, just let him go into the flat Earth chats, and he'll get kicked.
I think Daniel Pratt and Pete Shea must have shared the same fucking needle.
Oh gosh. I mean, I don't want to be rude about him, or you just cast aspersions, but
yeah.
I don't mind being rude about him.
Nothing.
He's a fucking asshole. I don't mind being rude about him at all. He's a fucking asshole.
There's two sides to him. There's the kind of loony side, but he is also a very nasty person. He has a pretty full.
He's just a condescending asshole. Is what he is.
Yeah. It's not just that he's got these ideas. It's just the way he delivers them is completely obnoxious, deliberately so. And that's what I think about.
Yeah.
Same thing with what's his name? Spurs. Spurs just comes in and immediately starts calling people bull earthers and etc. And that's completely condescending. And
but it's his delivery as well. He just comes and says, "Well, now that we know that," and it's like, "Hang on,
yes, there you go.
Don't speak for me."
Yeah, we know that, or it's obvious that, or now that exactly.
Yeah.
Spurs is generally less offensive, but he is a total pole, and he is very much a shit stirrer as well. If you actually catch him in other people's hangouts, he tailors his little monologues to his audience and the person he's talking to try and create maximum division between people.
Gotta go, guys. See you later.
Take care. Catch you later, Blue.
Take care, sir.
Yeah, actually, I ought to take a break because I think Sean G is on at 8:30, isn't he? Christ, it's 7:30.
Well, I was mainly just hosting this. I wasn't sure if people were sticking around and if there'd be any flat earthers and whatever.
Let's chat for a bit.
Plus, it's kind of descending into a gossip fest, which I don't think
makes
for the best.
Well,
Right. Well, I'm going to bow out, and I'll catch you guys later on.
See you later.
That was fun. Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
Later.
So is everybody buggered off anyway? There's only a couple here, and I think most people aren't really here.
Everyone, everyone really important.
No, I mean, like, Dean is logged in, but he's been here for a while. The Rumpus said he was buggering off, but he's stayed logged in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's still logged in. If Chirag is still in the chat, if he's going to come in, he may come in as soon as I leave, if I leave or whatever.
Listen, if you want to talk to him, I'll put the link in there. It's up to you.
No. No, I think I'm done with that guy. Yeah, I've either concluded he's. I don't want to sound rude. How best to say this? He's either not well, or he's a Poe and he's got some ulterior motive. I think he's a Poe with ulterior motive, but some of what he says, I think, is just so deliberately. Okay, so if put it like this, if you were having a conversation and you mentioned something about one of your family members with cancer, he would use that, and he would start mentioning cancer. I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it in chats, and he's done it with me, and he's also done it. So, for example, one of my now that if he's listening, I'll just say this: one of my sore spots with the flat Earth hoax claims. I've seen people in the chats calling it a hoax. I'm just going to call it a hoax. One of the claims is that the Challenger shuttle crew, all of that was
I know that one. Yeah,
hoax, was fake, right? And they showed this one picture of all these different people, allegedly older versions of the Challenger crew. So I've been to the Arlington Cemetery, and I watched that event live. So and Columbia as well. So
yeah, I watched it live too.
Yeah, okay, and I have that still in my mind, and I have that, and it's never left me. And that was, several decades, 30 years ago now. It's never left me, that the impact of that on my life and how it affects me emotionally. And one of the first times I had a conversation with someone, a flat earther, I mentioned it, and I don't know what I was trying to do. I was just trying to say, you really think those people are still alive? How can you be so disrespectful to their families to do that? And he just used that, that was like, it was like you're in a fight, and you're in the gladiatorial fight, and you take off your helmet and you say to the guy, look, we're both human beings here. Let's talk. And all he does is just smack you in the head as hard as he possibly can. Right.
Well, I mean, I've seen him.
That sort of thing. And so I had that, and he called me a fool. He called me a stupid, lying idiot. He did everything he possibly could to inflict as much pain, to hurt me as much as he possibly could in that discussion, knowing that I had a sensitive thing with the Challenger crew. So you're a fool if you believe those stupid people are alive. You dumb, stupid. He just did everything he could.
I have the same reaction too, because I remember in mid '80s when I was working on my PhD, I took the afternoon off to watch the launch, and to see it blow up there in real time on TV is such a sick feeling.
Yeah, that's never left me. I'll tell you this. No, actually, I won't, because I won't be able to get through it. I still can't get through it. I still can't talk about it. And like I said, in this chat with this guy, and he wasn't like, well, here's my point of view. I don't think that was, maybe they did hoax it and this is how they did it or something. No, he just made sure that it was, it almost like I said, if you say, okay, yeah, a friend of mine died of cancer, you fool, you stupid, you believe in that stupid cancer, you stupid, those people are, imagine that type of, you'd never do it in face to face. Anyway, so I think there's a lot of that.
You'd be very concerned for the number of people that come up and tell you cancer's not real when you get that diagnosis.
Yeah,
but I know what you mean. At the end of the day, he's a troll, and
that's why I'm going with the
he'll just say what he has to say
a troll.
To get a reaction.
But what I'm not expecting is the level of sadism, because basically. And I started looking up, I started investigating in all different manners. And someone in one of the chats, because I'm investigating this topic, so one of the people in the chat, he said, have you heard of the Dark Triad? And I'm like, what is that? So I looked it up. It's Machiavellianism, which is basically a lack of conscience, sadism, which basically means derives pleasure from other people's pain. And Machiavellianism is the concept of lack of conscience. So when you do that to somebody, you simply have no way, you can't empathize or sympathize with their feelings. The same thing as when you see these people are crisis actors, like Russian vids watching footage from bombing or something, and there's bloodied people in the street crying and screaming. Okay, and collapsing, covered in blood, and he's saying, "Look at these people. These people, it's obviously fake blood. It's obviously they're actors. They're obviously this and they're obviously that."
Well, it's a lack of empathy.
Yeah, it's a lack of empathy.
That's what I find in Pete Shea.
It's a level. It's psychopathy.
Yeah, and I find that in Pete a lot with his conversations and how
he's like that.
Brenda, or it's like a matter of fact, he doesn't understand the hurt that he's inflicting.
Exactly. It's a complete lack of concern for anyone else's feelings. He's just simply there. He gets off, and this is Chirag Patel. He gets off on people's pain. He gets off from getting a reaction. He enjoys a conversation where he's the center of attention, and everyone's, oh yes, Chirag, we should do this test, and we should get this drone and fly it straight and do this and do that. And then he got tired of doing that, and now he's probably onto something else. But yeah, that's what I get from him. So I tried to give him the benefit of that for a long time. And the last conversation was just reprehensible, absolutely unbelievable. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. And the more I tried to appeal to his humanity, I said, look, just stop what you're doing and think about what you're doing and think about what you're saying. Think about how this is being delivered, and think about how people are going to see this. Just stop the rhetoric and just calm down. Let's just talk about. He just continued, and then he just upped the ante. He just made it even worse.
You see that also to a lesser extent with some people. I mean, in Jose's earlier today, people give me a lot of shit for my reaction to Channel Q. She calls me senile all the time, and that does bother me because I know older people that are senile.
Yes, exactly. But she's younger; she doesn't understand that.
And I'm far from being anything like that.
Yeah.
But then when I react and you try to dish it back to her, I'm the bad guy. She's the victim and I'm the bad guy. And I get this like from Captain Bullshit and a few others too.
Here's the thing, though, George. Here's the thing. And we're not going to talk about this specifically too much right now, but here's the thing.
No.
Okay. I don't want to anyway. But here's the thing about that. Okay. When people are sort of like insulting each other, you stupid fool, you stupid idiot. Okay. That's one thing. But if someone knows that you have a weakness somewhere or sensitivity somewhere, once they are aware of that and continue with that sort of behavior, it goes beyond and jocularity. It goes beyond that.
Yeah, like Channel Q thinks she's being funny or something like that.
Right. Well, I tell you what. Here's the thing, Josh.
But the thing is she's always the one that's drawing the first blood.
Yes, she does.
Someone called me grumpy, and then she jumps in. No, George isn't grumpy. He's senile.
But let me tell you, though, she did that with me when I first came in. Because I've not been doing this very long as far as chatting to people. It took me 2 years to pluck up the courage to actually get on and do voice chat. It doesn't sound like it because I'm talking, but it's not my general thing that I do. And I went in, and Channel Q was one of the people in the Discord chat, and she just let me have it with something. She just called me all sorts of names, and I went, good grief. So I went out. I took a few days. I stayed away, and then I came back in, and she was in there, and she was perfectly reasonable. I just tried to forget it. I think the best thing here is if we have a mutual understanding. This is something that the people who are held under this conspiracy delusion, I would call it, don't have and can't do. They can't forgive, and they have to keep it going. That's why someone like Dubé can do what he does. He has no conscience. But I think we here we should have a conscience and should be able to, even if we think we're wrong, just apologize and just move on and just deal with it rather than let it fester, because it will fester. Anyway, that's my take. But
in regards to this Channel Q woman, though, is...
Well, what do you like her?
What kind of bothered me a little bit is Jose felt it's okay.
Yeah, well, that's
that fair trolling, whereas I call her a bitch because I know it bothers her, just like calling me see now bothers you. But that's not okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's the double-edged sword. That's the double-edged sword with the idea of fair trolling. It's just... That's just a sad reality of what that means. It means people can say
founded insults.
Yeah.
Then expect to get shot back.
Well,
I can't do it because Jose timed me out several times.
Right.
For doing that, and all I'm trying to do is to show Channel Q, how hurtful something like that can be, and that she just needs to stop addressing me. Things are fine as long as you don't address me. Quit drawing first blood.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the nature of this, because we're not face to face. Different types of personalities. Some people's personalities clash. Sean Hawkins and Pete Shea just clash like crazy. I clash with Pete Shea. I find his delivery and what he says is completely just no. Yeah. Here's the thing about Pete Shea. Why are we even giving him this forum? Why do we give him
off, man? Who are you? Who are you, man?
It's like, who are you to tell me that? It's like,
why are you
come
here?
on, man.
You're getting paid.
It's like, find me one study that used cannabis oil as a primary or solo treatment for cancer. Any study, please find that for me. You can't do it.
Shut up, man. Shut your mouth.
I was just going to say,
you're being really disrespectful.
Sorry.
I'm telling you you're wrong and providing evidence as to why you're wrong, and that's disrespectful, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently. Anyway.
But online, it's not a new thing. Online is a different world for people.
Yeah.
They behave differently online. And
well,
I think if you're going to interact with people online, you have to learn that, and you have to learn to operate in that environment.
You really do.
So,
some people can do that.
Everybody's different. Offence is kind of in the eye of the beholder in a way, but
yeah, it is.
There has to be a kind of a cut-off point, but you should also expect to be able to take the heat as well. You have to, if you're going to be on the online arena, people are going to be vitriolic. Whether you choose to be or not is kind of up to you, but you have to be able to still put up with it. You have to be able to take the slings and arrows, and there obviously has to be a certain thing. There's going to be certain triggers, if you like. There's places you shouldn't go.
That's
like, for example, calling people paedophiles for no fucking reason.
Oh no,
gosh, that's just lowest of the low.
There are limits. There are limits.
So things like that. But then your kind of average, everyday, fucking childish name calling. I don't think there's any point in getting wound up about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we can chat like this, and just sort of reason it through, rather than take sides. I don't. It's good that we can do that. And like I said, we should be the ones to do that. We should be the ones that try to avoid calling flat earthers names and shouting at them. I've heard this from a number of different people. The problem with this debate in general is that nobody has the high ground. They don't have they don't have the high ground to just stand and say, look, this is we've got the facts while all you've got is empty rhetoric, and you keep insulting us, because everybody's doing the same thing. So there's no any listener.
Yeah, I'll happily admit I'm guilty of that, because
me too.
It's actually a kind of thing that I've developed into doing over a long time. Whenever I encounter trolls online, I treat them with their own medicine.
Yeah.
You will see me insulting people, but it's because I'm like, well, if it's good enough for you,
but
that's the way you want to communicate. Have some degrees, and if you don't like it,
there are
you should
degrees.
learn a lesson from that.
Yeah.
But there's degrees and limits to some of this. I mean, calling someone an idiot or a moron is kind of a soft, insult. Whereas when you start getting to pedophile and senile or things like that, that's kind of stepping over the limit. That you're going beyond social norms as far as.
No, you really are.
Problem is, if you're going to be dealing with somebody who is in opposition to you, and you let them know there's some specific thing that triggers or bothers you, they're only going to use it against you.
Oh, that's right. That's right. When as soon as I say to Spurs, no, we're not ballers. There's no such thing as a baller or a ball earther. It's the first thing he does when he comes in the chat, sees them here, starts calling everyone ballers. He just doesn't have any concern that is bothersome or that's condescending or that's insulting. He just doesn't see it as insulting. Therefore, it's not insulting. He just does it.
Frisbee.
Well, actually, he picked up that term from Red's Rhetoric, who used that for International Ballers Day, and it just bothers some people for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
No, I think that it doesn't bother.
Start calling people flatards.
No.
Expect some return on that.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me being called a baller because I find it offensive. I think it's a dishonest thing to do when someone says, like when Mind of God says spinning ball. No, it's a huge rotating planet.
And he's deliberately.
So the problem is in the audience. It's more for the audience.
Yeah.
When you diminish the size of a planet down to
spinning
a ball,
then
you're kind of dishonestly, changing how people perceive what you're talking about. But if you say hang about. Spinning, we attribute to motion. If I turn, if I have a basketball and I spin it on my finger, it's spinning. Now, if I had a basketball in my hand and I rotated it once every day, would you say it was spinning?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Spinning has a connotation of a fast motion, whereas rotation does not. And that's the thing. They use these words inappropriately.
So
but they use all sorts of words.
Another technique that comes from the young
I guess it's because I understand the idea of scale, that it doesn't. I don't even understand why they use it, because I understand scale, so it doesn't bother anything about it.
Yeah, it's like I understand words, and not all words. I don't know all the words, but I have I understand words. So when someone says disingenuous or whatever, say all these things. Look, we was in a chat. It was like 1 a.m. in the morning, and 1 a.m. in the morning. That's redundant. Anyway, so and he said, "Well, it's disingenuous. It's disingenuous," and he kept using the word. And I said, "Wait, stop. Look up the word. And it was Sean Hawkins, and he actually was at the computer. Anyone at the computer, he looked it up. And so they'll stop using that word. 10 minutes later, he used it again. Come on, this can't be that hard.
Yeah, but since day one, you have noticed that they all like to accuse other people of having cognitive dissonance. You have no idea what it is, even though they exhibit it every day.
Yes,
well, I would propose that moving forward, what you do is when you hear things like this, you stop them dead in the tracks and say, no, that is not an appropriate description. This is not a spinning ball. This is a rotating, massive planet, or something like that.
Massive, George? Relatively sized, so it's just a planet, isn't it?
It's a planet. It's a rotating planet.
It's a rotating planet.
A slowly rotating planet.
Yeah. It's a substantially sized. Get really pedantic. No, but it's the constant need to. And this is what is starting to grate. I mean, I don't know how long I'm only able to do this, but it's the constant need that we have educating, the constant educating. Flat earthers.
That's why you will always lose.
Yeah, because we spend half the time explaining words and explaining meanings, explaining.
Did you not see Spursky yesterday when I can't remember who was talking to him. It could have been Brian actually.
Yeah.
And Brian said something about, well, it's about forces, and I can have a centrifugal force acting on this and a glass of water and blah blah blah. And then I let Brian carry on, and then I waited until he stopped because I heard Chemo going, yeah, and I imagine Chemo at this point just reading a magazine because it's already predetermined. So at the end of it, I said, brilliant. Whoever it was, Brian, just mentioned a glass of water and a force. What was the force? What did he call it? And it was just silence. Yeah, now, I knew full well that he had no intention of listening to anything, taking it on board, or anything of that kind. And his response is just going to be a set response at the end of it because it's rhetoric. Right. Now, you don't need to educate someone. You just need to point out, well, that's what you're doing, and it's not very honest, is it?
Right. But here's the thing that's going on in these chats, and I'm recognizing in myself, and I think I'm arriving at the point where I think I need to make a correction in my life. What is going on is we're getting frustrated with someone like Spurs because he comes in these chats, he says the same thing, and people are getting frustrated. They have to explain the same things over and over and over again. So why are we talking to him? Why are we doing this?
Because we love pain.
I think the only main reason, though, if you're going to do it, is
because it's not them, it's us.
Do what the kind of thing. Excuse me. Do the kind of thing that Dean is talking about, where you point out what he's doing, to show that the person that the people that you don't see, the people that are listening, are made aware that this is a dishonest person.
It's exactly, Al. It's going to never be about correcting Chemo and his information and his education or miseducation.
Right.
It's going to be about showing everybody on the panel that you should not listen to this individual, and you don't need to do that with making any assertions whatsoever most of the time. You can simply drill down and ask questions. You can actually give a scenario, and then, like I did, prove that they were so ignorant they didn't even listen to anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's these little things whereby...
Oh, God, yeah, that was beautiful today.
Yeah, but imagine... Well, he'd done it with me, and I thought... I actually got to the end of it, and I thought, he hadn't listened to a fucking thing that I said, even though he's there going, yeah. It's just waiting for you to finish.
Yeah,
and that's it.
You have to give that to Earth is seriously flat. Last night it took him 20 minutes to not even halfway understand a question that was asked to him.
Yeah.
But the thing is that once, if we just sort of say, Spurs, you know what? You've had all this explained to you. Get out. Go and annoy someone else. We're tired of you.
Something new.
Move on.
Yeah.
Let him go. But then the problem is then what are you talking about?
Yeah, no. The thing is, I don't think that's an effective way. I think Chemo is a brilliant opportunity to show everybody what a flat earther is like.
Okay.
Because it isn't a case. Any point that he brings up, you do not need to win. All you need to do is illustrate, given the context of that point, that he is ignorant, is obtuse, he disregards logic and reason. He doesn't like any facts. He's got double standards for evidence. He assumes way too much, and he's got no knowledge in the subject that he's talking about. Well, if you do all of that, you don't need to do anything else. There's no winning an argument over whatever the context is.
He manages to obfuscate the conversations by always asking questions. So I think maybe you just need to turn it around, just keep asking him questions so that
you noticed what I did today was I tried to leave it when Jose started. I tried leaving twice because I had something to do, and every time I hung up, I hear his fucking voice saying something else, and they're like, "Shit,
you have to go back in." See?
Yeah, no,
it's you.
Yeah, so what I did today was the last thing that he said really got to me. It's like Jose is giving you this, this channel to speak up and to bring your evidence. I had to point out, hang about, a stupid amount of...
No, I caught that. I pointed that out to him, that he needs to bring evidence because this is nothing different than what you have on the flat earth side. You have a channel where you have the opposite group coming in to present evidence, but yet here we have the opposite. No evidence is presented on by the flat earthers.
They don't understand that to take on the consensus position means that you need to provide something that is an alternative that works as well, if not better.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then you just sit there with a thumb up your ass yelling, nah.
Yeah. The tactic I've been taking, I pointed this out to Dean, I see that Dean has adopted it to some, which I'm happy to see, is that when these flat earthers start getting on their soapbox and going through their spiel, making some sort of a long claim or declaration, is the instant you hear them say something wrong, you stop them in their tracks.
Yeah.
Say, no,
George,
not
wait a minute.
right.
One problem with that today is Earth is seriously flat said something, and everybody's trying to answer, and he was actually addressing me, and I wanted to pull him up on it to do exactly that, because what he said when I was asking him about the sun and the moon on that model, it says, go.
I mean, it isn't always going to be effective, but most of the time, I think it is.
No, I could have done.
Don't let them continue on with their thesis.
We get the point, George.
That is incorrect.
Yeah, no, I get the point. And Earth is seriously flat said, we see the sun and the moon going to the vanishing point. And then he carried on. And then someone spoke up against what we let him get away with that sentence, which is incredibly incorrect. Right. The sun and moon carry on to the vanishing point. What?
Stop right there.
Shit.
No,
yeah.
Hold the phones, people. Let's clarify this.
Oh, the best one? Atmos plane.
Oh God.
Yeah, but what do you say to that? You can't defend against fucking unicorns and dragons, can you? That's just you can't do anything.
It's just hilarious. It's just so sad.
Atmosphere. I like that. Sphere and plane. Atmos plane.
Love it.
I'm gonna put an Atmos plane in my flat Earth.
See, I absolutely love listening to that guy just because he does come up with some clever smash words like abortion. I find that rather amusing. Atmos plane. Perfectly amusing. Everything that comes out of his mouth. Everything that comes out of his mouth in terms of his proof, I find absolutely ignorant.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and you can do some self-analysis. But I'm just wondering, if I talk to someone that I know is either in some way has some kind of issue, why am I engaging this person? Why am I subjecting myself to this? It's a form of masochism, probably. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to continually, for me, subject myself to someone like Pete Shea, who just is it's not even a discussion. There's literally 0 point in engaging Pete in any form of discussion because he doesn't have anything to say. He just talks about...
you can end that really quickly because I've started doing this as well.
What?
You just say, Pete, I'm going to listen to whatever you say, but there is only one condition, that you have evidence that you can present for anything that you say. Otherwise, it's just an opinion. I don't care. And at that point, I go, "Fuck off, Dean. What do you know? Why are you coming back here? Eh?
Shush your mouth.
Yeah.
Shush your mouth."
But it shuts him up for a bit.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that shuts him up is actually muting, which I did a couple of times. No one noticed.
Wait a minute. I was on Sean G's, and he came in, and it's when he was just on about fucking vaginas, Patricia Steer, in the last thing. And I thought, oh, fuck you, Pete. And I went, and it said, I clicked on his name, because all I wanted to do, seriously, was not listen to his bastard voice or anything that he said. And I had two options. One of them says mute, and I thought, no, that's going to mute him. And then one of them says ignore, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'll ignore him. Everybody else can listen to him, but I'll just ignore him. It'll be fine. It'll be like I'm just being ignorant to him when I'm talking over him and stuff. Anyway, so I clicked that, and I didn't know that ignore in a hangout that Sean runs is actually block and kick. So I blocked him. And he couldn't get back in. But yeah, I shouldn't have done
that's
that.
hilarious. That's funny.
But it did say ignore. It didn't say block.
Yeah,
it just said ignore. Which is all I wanted to do.
So Sean will try it. Click on my... I'll keep talking. Click on my name. Just tap on my name. All right? And then you'll see the little thing, and then just mute me. I want to see what it looks like when that...
I bet you do.
He just says you've been muted by such and such.
Oh, does it? What, in the chat, in the side chat, does it?
Oh, no. Actually, it does it. It actually does say it on the screen. So.
Sorry, what was that, what you were saying, Brian? Got a bit of a problem there, have we? Can't talk it. Oh, bollocks. No, you can't. You can easily.
That's how I knew Manny was doing it the other day.
Simple things. How long before people realise they've been muted?
You bastard. I would, yeah, but I'm desperately trying to unmute Red Cloud, but you can't unmute someone once you've muted, can you?
No.
Right, yeah.
No, he has to unmute himself.
Red, I muted you and it did work, and I can't unmute you now, so nice talking to you.
Listen, guys, this is obviously tailed off quite a lot in the last while, and also it's getting later. I've still got to eat and everything. I was just, restreaming for Jose's show in case anybody wanted to watch that and join in and whatever. So I'm going to quit this stream. I'm also going to quit this and go and get my dinner and stuff. So I'll see you around.
See you later on. Oh no.